Hey guys, welcome to my music making station. This is where I score movies and commercials and make all sorts of other music. My main desire always is to avoid any friction or waste of time while working. So everything has to be ready to go all the time. I don't want to have to plug in basically anything or think of anything. I just have a musical idea, I start recording it. So my .com system is all plugged in to be basically a mini Moog of sort, except with two filters. So I don't have to think about much. I have a mixer, I have my VCOs going there. I also always keep the CC1, the mod wheel, going into the LFO++, into the amplitude. Out of the output goes into the add-in, and what this does basically is that I have a ready-to-go pitch modulation mod wheel that affects all the VCOs at once, which again makes it kind of like a mini Moog. And then if I want to switch to the sequencer, I can, but otherwise it's pretty much ready to go. I also have my Yaltex MIDI controller for Ableton to make like soundscapes. This is basically a 4-track looper for me, where I have every instrument I want and every sample library already like set up, ready to go. And I can just like loop something on the fly in a few minutes and I have a soundscape that I can use in some other project. I have a little guitar, cab. All the woodwork, by the way, I did myself in my garage. Desk, every container, the desk for the keyboard and all that. And so the .com goes straight into my mini pedal board, and one fundamental element of my sound is always the MXR chord, the stereo chorus pedal. I've used it for years. As long as I've had a .com system, I've used the MXR stereo. And I went through, 20 analog choruses, including original Roland D and whatnot, and this is the one that does the sound for a number of reasons. One, it's some inexplicable just design inside that sounds good to me. The other is that it has this magical low pass switch, which makes it so the chorus doesn't affect the lower, 100 hertz or something. It makes every bass super punchy and still chorusy, which no other chorus that I have personally tried does. And it also has, low end and high end control, a dry wet mix. It's for $100, I just could not stand the yellow color. So after 4 years, I finally sanded it back and painted it black, and I'm much happier. Then I have my stereo analog delay, and then I have my reverb. Another thing to mention is that if I want a really special poly, I've had, Prophet 6 and the GS Audio E7, Prophet 8, Vermona, but I never end up using them in the heat of the battle. And if I want a poly that sounds really juicy, what I'll do is that I have a whole sorts of VCOs sampled, fully open. I have the Q106, I have Erica synths from Eurorack, I have the mini mods, I have the Vermona, I have the mini Moogs. So I have a library of VCOs, and what I do is that I can play them polyphonically inside Contact. And then I will send the output of the Contact inside one of the mixer inputs of the .com, and then I can use one of the filters. And I can have the gate coming from those chords. I have to play chords at once, so it's a paraphonic situation, but I can use the gate to even trigger the filter, and it sounds something sort of like this. And it sounds way better than either using VST filters or using VSTs altogether. So if I really want like a vibey pad and I want to use the power of a mono synthesizer, I can do that with that system. I don't believe in mic pre's outside of the interface. After 35 years of having tried every single mic pre under the face of the earth, from old RCA OP6s to original Neves and whatnot, and I've been spent tens of thousands of dollars in mic pre's, I finally did like an informative, like blind test shootout between a BAE 1073 Neve, which is, was my go-to absolute favorite mic pre, and a Heritage mic pre, and then just my Focusrite Claret. And I couldn't much tell them apart. And I would do like loops, like guitar loops, bass loops, or like synth tracks that would be identical, and pass them through the three different mic pre's. And I would lie if I said that I've ever preferred the really expensive mic pre's. And in fact, since I let go of having expensive mic pre's, my recordings are much better, because expensive mic pre's tend to add that expensive sound by adding low end. And what 100 tracks of low end do in a mix is that the mix is muddy and it builds up into a chaotic mess, and then you have to start removing all the low end from every single source, which makes it ridiculous in the first place that you push so hard to have a lot of low end. So since I've been using mic pre's that are slightly more neutral, although honestly you can't really tell, and I'm the guy that will spend an hour tweaking the envelope to like a microsecond longer or shorter, so not exactly a guy that lets go of things. But the mic pre thing for me, it's gone. But I would never let go of the MXR chorus. I wouldn't use any other chorus, honestly. To me, having chorus on a synth, it's like a non-negotiable pretty much. I would be hard pressed to think of like how many tracks I've ever done that didn't have some sort of like a slight chorus on it, which I prefer to two VCOs slightly detuned, because it's clearer, it's more agile, and it's less detuned actually. Another thing I swear by is having some sort of a controller for Pro Tools or something. Incredible for mixing multiple things at once. I also have my Stream Deck that has changed my life, where I can go to Pro Tools, I have all my Pro Tools controls, or I go back and have any sort of like, okay, this is the Google Drive for this particular client. I push a button and I'm there. I can, again, no friction, no waste of time. What else? I have my ribbon controller, of course, there. The drums is mic'd and ready to go. And basically all I have to do is connect a couple of things on the patch bay. I've been thinking about getting us another 8 mic pre of the Focusrite so that I can even bypass the patch bay, but for now I have the patch bay. I have my one mic, the most, again, after 30 years of having tried everything from original 251s, U47s, U67s, having spent way too much money in microphones. Surecase M32, most versatile mic ever designed, without a doubt for me. It's a medium capsule condenser that is slightly darker than a regular condenser and more focused, and it kind of does both what you would get from a dynamic, that focus, that punch, but it's also lush and natural like a condenser, but it's never brittle, but it's never like dull. It's unbelievable. You could use it on shakers, but you could use it on male voice, female voice, on acoustic guitar. I've used it in thousands of sessions and it's amazing. I tried to replace it with every single mic under the face of the earth, and nothing really ever won over that. And I'm almost mad about it, but it is what it is. And I use my little Yamaha's HS8s with the sub. And again, I've had all sorts of monitors. I really love the Dynaudio's Core series, but it's unbelievable what these speakers do for the price, and they translate super well. So, and especially with the sub, I wouldn't have it without the sub. But I keep the sub at low volume, and it helps me checking if something is really out of whack. And that's about it. Little guitars, little basses, upright bass. There's a cello in there, there's a bari sax, there's a trumpet underneath there. We go here, there's a tenor, there's a clarinet, there's a soprano, there's bows, there's vinyls everywhere. And yeah, this is where the magic happens. Maybe it brought some inspiration. Thank you, bye.